Hello today, my dear players. Today, we're going to be doing another anime vid, where we're going to talk about the things that I think Naruto should have learned during his little time skip after Part 1. The time skip in between Part 1 and Shippuden. Because I just don't like... I think all of us... Well, let me rephrase. I think Naruto... It is demonstrated that Naruto learned a lot. He is a lot better at taijutsu. He's a lot better at using the ninjutsu that he does have, and he's just generally a much more skilled shinobi. His stats overall are a lot higher. But that's kind of expected. That's kind of the baseline. That's just kind of the baseline for what a protagonist should get after a time skip. Like from what we see, the best he gets out of the time skip is that he can increase the size of his is that he's able to control the size of the Rasengan. And then he doesn't even... he uses it later, but in the fight where it debuts that he's able to do that, he doesn't even make it that much bigger. It's not even that interesting of an attack. And it's just disappointing. Especially, in retrospect, think about all these things that Jiraiya should know how to teach Naruto, but didn't. Just overall, a huge disappointment. So, I'll kind of lay out what I think he should have learned, plus a really specific idea that I had. So, first and foremost, most obvious thing, he should have learned how to use his wind-style chakra. He should have learned the nature, basic chakra natures, how they interact with each other. He should have learned how to imbue his wind nature into his weapons. And he should have learned one wind style jutsu and then a couple of levels to it. Kind of this idea of he knows wind a small, he knows just normal variant of it than a big variant of it, which creates more chakra. It takes more chakra to use. Something like that. And it doesn't have to be anything too crazy, just a pretty basic wind style jutsu. I don't think Naruto would care to learn anything too complicated. But still, I think he should have at least one, that's a given. The second thing, I don't think he should have learned how to apply wind style to the Rasengan yet. I think having the Rasen Shuriken be a thing we learn with him is important. Well, I could see an argument for him coming out of the training with Rasen Shuriken, actually. I could see a really good argument for it. But no, I think for the sake of this video, I'm going to go with the idea that he doesn't know Rasen Shuriken yet. That he and Jiraiya ran into these complications with trying to apply wind style to the Rasen Shuriken, and just decided to focus on refining other things and trying to figure out a solution to that. Next, and now that's pretty much a given. All that. Next, we're going to get into the more specific idea that I had that I think would have made, Naruto's time away really feel impactful. Because I don't think he needs to learn that many specific jutsu. Just learning what I'm about to outline, I think, would have made him feel a lot more interesting, which the time actually used for good things. which is considering who he was learning from, Jiraiya. I think he should have learned maybe one or two of Jiraiya's basic jutsu, maybe. I don't know if Needle Jizo is a thing that he can teach. It might be just like a Kekkei Genkai, I doubt it. But it would have been nice for Naruto to know Needle Jizo. That would have been neat. And actually, I don't remember the specifics of Needle Jizo. He might not be able to use it without long enough hair. I don't know. Or some variant. Just seeing Naruto be able to use a couple of Jiraiya's tricks beyond just the Rasengan would be really cool and appreciated. And the biggest thing, I led up to this earlier, but then I just caught off on a tangent about Jiraiya's tricks, which is, I think Naruto should have gotten more toad summons that he used regularly, that became just a regular part of his arsenal, not just special occasion toad summons, but toad summons that he actively used a lot going forward. And I had 3 specific ideas for him to have, like 3 summons for him to have going forward. Number 1, the simplest one, is not a literal toad, but one of the weapons of the toads of Mount Miyagoku, which is a staff. A staff, not unlike... a staff isn't the right word. I'll find an image of what I mean, and I'll edit it into the video so you see what I mean, and you'll know the image I'm thinking. A small-scale version of one of the weapons we see some of the giant toads use during the assault on Pain. And the idea of it is, number 1, I think it would just be really cool, of this idea of Jiraiya teaching Naruto how to use a staff as kind of a way of honoring the 3rd Hokage, as a way of honoring Jiraiya's teacher, our dear Hiruzen. I think that just would have been really cool, really wholesome to have a skill pass the generations to Naruto in this way. But also, I think as a second part, I think it also would have been really cool as a kind of counter, as kind of, not a direct counter, but kind of this mirror to Sasuke a little bit, where during the time where Sasuke is gone, he learned how to use a sword, and during that same period, Naruto learned how to use a staff, both learning a new weapon. I think that parallel would have been cool. Secondly, I think the frog staff that he summons should have a very specific ability. And this specific ability that I envision is that the staff has a unique property in that when wind chakra nature is infused into it, or when chakra nature is poured into it regardless, the staff is able to repurpose that chakra in such a way that it can be used to crush things instead of its original purpose. The idea being that, Naruto using his wind chakra nature on any other weapon would just make it better at piercing defenses or cutting through defenses. While by imbuing it with this staff, the wind chakra nature becomes able to crush defenses. And the idea of this usage isn't just like a way to improve his taijutsu, which it is, but it's also this type of idea that with this crushing nature instead of a piercing or slashing nature, what ends up happening is that through the use of this frog staff, toad staff, Naruto is able to effectively obliterate whatever types of physical defenses an opponent might have, and cause severe physical weakness as well. Just because of the way the chakra interacts with the staff, and then the way the staff manipulates that chakra against its opponent. To such an extent that even more impressive defenses, and even impressive chakra constructs, like, say, the Susanoo armor, kind of has a strange conflict with it, where it's not gonna, obviously, because it's so soon in Shippuden, it wouldn't be able to just like freely break the Susanoo armor, but kind of the idea it's getting at is this frog staff hitting something even as strong of a chakra construct as like a Susanoo ribcage, it shakes it, it vibrates it enough, and just makes this almost cracking noise that fully break. This kind of idea that I'm rambling a lot and trying to communicate this, but essentially just the idea the frog staff is just especially good at breaking physical defenses and chakra defenses. It's just good at it. So that I think would have been really cool as one. And then second frog summon, toad summon that I think he should have is a sensory / genjutsu toad. The idea is that it's this little toad that once summoned, it will just kind of hang out on his back, just kind of stick there. And what it will do is that it will, number one, prevent Naruto from falling under genjutsu, and quickly knock him out of it if it failed, and be able to quickly knock him out of it should he fall anyway, like due to like some kind of weird nature of the genjutsu, it not being able to stop it. And it have very strong sensory capabilities, stronger than Naruto's, such that it can detect shit happening around him that Naruto wouldn't necessarily be able to detect. Plus, a general thing of this frog being fairly smart and good at analyzing things that happen. Thus can be a good summon for Naruto just to help him figure out things happening around him, even if he doesn't necessarily need the sensory help or the genjutsu help. Just summoning it as a way for Naruto to gain an understanding of something very quickly through her help. And just generally, she kind of served this purpose of helping Naruto break down and combat against all the tricky shit that to allow for an easier straight up fight, because Naruto is just better at straight up fights and dealing with tricky shit. And lastly, what I think he should have access to is a larger frog, one that is a larger toad. I keep mixing up frog and toad. I'm sorry, people might get mad at me. But a larger toad, it's not quite the size of a person, but it's bigger than the previous toad. It's like, I'm not sure the exact size. I'll probably find like an image or something to make a comparison, but it's like, I don't know. It's big, but not too big. I'll keep it at that. And what it can do is that it's essentially just it's just a ninjutsu frog. It's a ninjutsu toad. Its entire purpose is spamming mid to long range ninjutsu, water and fire ninjutsu, which Naruto, if he wishes, can amp up with his wind style ninjutsu. Or, instead of amping it up, he could just have the frog summon, and then the frog cover him with the ninjutsu as he runs in to try and close the distance between him and a ranged opponent. Or just any number of all kinds of potential utility that you can kind of get out of a frog that can just kind of spam water and fire. And oil, because oil is a trick. And yeah, that's probably the one that requires the least explanation, because it's just an artillery frog. That's what it is. And I think having those three accessible to him as summons would just make Naruto feel a lot more interesting and balanced, and in a way kind of appeals back to the whole thing with Naruto, as he is not as talented as some other people, as Sasuke. Instead of learning a lot of jutsu like he does, or trying to invent a lot of his own, Naruto kind of leans on the wisdom and the skills of others via summons. I think that would just be a very interesting way to kind of refer back to one of the core things that makes Naruto special, and that he can make other people want to help him. And I think the summons are just a fun way to kind of explore that. And as a balancing mechanic, just as like a as a balancing mechanic of the three, I think that at least when he first gets out of Shippuden, there should be kind of a he can only keep one of these summons around at a time. So if he's decided to summon the frog staff, then he's only got the frog staff. He's not summoning the other two. If he's got the artillery frog out, he's not getting the frog staff for the Genjutsu toad, and so on and so forth. He has to kind of pick and choose what he needs for the situation, and or be capable of doing a quick summoning switch. And yeah, I just think that would make his, like, a lot of the fights that he's involved with a lot more interesting. With him having access to those three toads, and would actually feel like Jiraiya taught him something as opposed to how it is in the original story. And yeah. There's a lot more that I could talk about, like how his use of these would evolve as he learns more and goes further, and how he would be against other things. But generally, this is just a note that isn't as important, but as a general note, I also would have just made Naruto, not just because of him having more versatility with these frogs, but also just made Naruto stronger than he was in the original series. And to such a degree that when he has to face off with Sasuke for the first time in Shippuden, that it actually feels like Sasuke was pressed by Naruto, like Naruto was actually in the same league as Sasuke, so to speak. I still think Sasuke should be stronger than him. I still think he should win as a counter. But I don't think Sasuke should be able to just easily do away with Naruto and the rest of the new Team 7 at the time. And as I said in my last video, I had all the ideas, but the rest of the new Team 7 should be up to, as opposed to doing with Sasuke, it should be up to everything else, with some crazy reanimated bullshit. But yeah, that's the note I'll leave off on. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Talk about, and I'll talk